Oops. Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point podcast. Left the live screen up. That's my apologies. This is and I didn't discuss this with you guys beforehand. This is episode 125 of the Boiling Point podcast. So that's quite honestly awesome to me. So that's great. We are going to discuss some of the pornographic books that have been found in the West Shore School District. We did miss our coverage of the meetings this last week, and I believe the week before. That was my bad. 2 weeks ago, I was having a medical thing done, and I wasn't able to. And last week, we just did not. Nobody had the time. We couldn't get together. So, and it was Christy and Denise were the ones that made it to the meeting, right, Mariana? I have that right?
No, Christy and Sandra.
Christy and Sandra. Sorry, Denise. Denise, you're here with us, but you were not.
No, I didn't go to the policy meeting.
So, and we're going to actually, that's how we're going to start, right, Mariana? We're going to start with the clip. So we're going to watch the clip of Christy and Sandra and what they have to say about the schools and the issue that's going on. And then we're going to talk about it and comment about it and see where we go from here. So before we do that, let me just give Marcus Frederiksen a shout out because I forgot right at the beginning of the episode. He does the music. He plays in and out of every episode. Go check him out, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song and tag us in it as well. And check out the storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast, and pick up a t-shirt. Mariana has her Watchdog t-shirts on. So, which is awesome. I always love when people wear our apparel on the shows. So that's great. I have our sister show today because this is the second part of my doubleheader. I shot a live episode with Mayhem Media earlier today, so I did not feel like switching shirts because here in Pennsylvania it's still 94 degrees at 9 o'clock at night. So we're all also sweating to death. I don't know about you guys. All right, and we have Casey. Casey, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us as well. Make sure you check out his Daily Dose of Reality show, and of course Mariana's Watchdog Report, and Denise, of course, has been a regular guest for us, and Christy is tuning in. So hello, Christy. Thank you for tuning in. All right, let's go into the video clip then. I'll bring the video clip in.
The public comment provides an opportunity for our community to address the board. Each speaker has 4 minutes. The board will listen to comments from individuals who have filled out a blue form. To maintain order and respect throughout the evening, I ask everyone present to conduct themselves respectfully and to show consideration for those who are speaking. So the next would be opportunity for the public to speak on business items.
And so while we don't have any for business items, we do have 3 leftovers from the board policy committee.
Thank you. Sandra Gonzalez. Thank you. I always enjoy attending policy committee because I really feel like that is where change is made. And I want to commend you guys for being so thoughtful as you review these policies. One that was on the agenda tonight that you all did not get to was the parent observation in class. And I find that interesting. I wanted to hear the dialogue on that, and I'll have to attend the next upcoming policy to hear more about that. I do want to talk about when you were speaking on the materials and resource materials, and whether or not that bled into library and in this case or that case. And I'm very concerned about a lot of the books that are in our library. And I know I've been told that we don't have pornography. I hope that's true. I don't think it is. I think there are enough mothers who have reached out to me with books that are in our library that are very provocative. And this is something that I think you guys need to get on. And I know you guys have tighter control over what the school purchases for our libraries, but I think it's very concerning that people can donate, organizations can donate things to our library that perhaps flies a little more under your radar. Not the librarians potentially, but under your radar. And as a taxpayer in this community, I want to know that you guys have better eyes on what's going on in our libraries. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, guys. How are you doing? I am just setting out some books that are in our library. So, I've been coming up here for 6 years and always going back and forth about the pornography that's in the library. Always searching, but can't find it. So, I started following a pastor actually, and he had a lady on that does it for a living, and she said that a lot of these books are under titles that parents wouldn't even think of. Okay, and before I start this, if there's any children in here or watching, please tune out because a lot of it is it's pretty disturbing. So again, as we sit here tonight, we're talking about resource.
Can we hold the clock for a second? Is this young at the end here? Is this going to be okay for him?
No, I don't even think it's okay for half the adults. So no.
If he's attending, I guess. Okay, resume. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to make sure. He did raise his hand.
That's okay, guys. You guys will get the gist of it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is why I do think it's very important to go over the resource material. And I also think it's very important that the people we elect have a huge seat at that table. So this is called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And again, I apologize. Earl can be sort of profane sometimes, actually mellow, a lot of since his high school days, believe it or not. Back in middle school, he would have asked this in a much more violent and horrible way. Yeah, Earl, I'm going to eat her pussy. Yeah. Do you even know how to eat pussy? Oh, not really. Papa Gaines never sat you down. Son, one day you're going to have to eat pussy. No, but he did teach me how to eat a butthole. And it just continues to go. And as you can see, I read the whole book, but I have, the papers in there. Now, the other book.
What was the name of that one, Chrissy?
This is called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, and you can find this in the catalog. And this is 10-year-olds, okay? The other thing is with this, it's about a girl that has cancer, and she ends up sleeping with him. That's what it's all about. Okay, this is called It Is Perfectly Normal. This was just revised to put the LGBTQ in it. Basically, do it real fast. There is talking about LGBTQ. It shows men having sex, butt sex. It shows women having sex. It also talks about if you don't support the LGBTQ, suicide. It also talks about if you get pregnant, you can use the Plan B. It doesn't say anything about if you use Plan B as, a way to have an abortion that you could, later on not have kids. There's a lot of things that it's definitely indoctrinating children on one side of the thing. So that is another thing. This is in our libraries. This is actually in the middle schools. All Boys Aren't Blue. Another one that's in our libraries. Let me just get to the part. There's so many books in here. He reached his hand down and pulled out my dick. He quickly went and started giving me head. I sat back and enjoyed it as you could tell he was too. He was also definitely experiencing what I was doing because he went to work quite quickly. He then came up and asked me if I wanted to go down on him, and I said, sure. I began, and he said, watch your teeth. I don't want you to let me know what I was experiencing. So I slowly slowed down, took my time, and quickly got into the rhythm of things. And it keeps going on like that. This book right here, they turned it into a movie. This is about a dog that watches his owners have sex and stuff like that. So this is kind of teetering on the lines of bestiality. Another one, this book, we have been told by many kids in the class, this is not in the card catalog, but this is in teachers' libraries. And this was Perfectly Normal a couple of years ago that doesn't have the LGBTQ stuff in it. The Black Flamingo, another book, the same, basically the same. And The Girl from the Sea, the same thing. Okay.
Girl by the Sea.
A lot of this stuff is very disturbing. Just for me to read, the images I'm getting in my head, we talk about all the time about the kids' anxieties. I'm sorry, your time's up. Okay, just real quick, we talk about the kids' anxieties and their fears and stuff. Trash in, trash out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, is that the end, Mariana?
That's the end of it. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to take it off here. Excuse us while we, Denise will be rejoining us any minute. Thank you. Good evening, Monica. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for such a time. The people have remedy. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. We're having trouble with getting Denise back in. She lost connection, and now we seem to be having trouble getting her back. So she will be back any moment. I would assume she was having an issue, but I think it's resolved now. So we'll hopefully get her back in. Let me just say first, let's talk about the clip now. We'll get Denise back in here in a minute. That's the kind of shit that I used to trudge through when I worked with Pennsylvania predator hunters. Okay, that's the kind of shit, nasty shit. Because there's no other word for it. I'm sorry, there just isn't. That's what I used to deal with the Pennsylvania predator hunters. I did not see this clip before now. That's the first time I'm watching the clip. So what in the hell is happening in the West Shore School District? Who's running the library over there? And how is this decided? I assume we're going to be talking about that in this episode, but that's heinous.
Well, you need to understand something. I think you all know how Casey and I came into this fight because we found that book that she showed. This book is gay, which she stated it's not in the library catalog. That is correct. Okay, and we also found this book. This book is genderqueer in the library. Now, if books are donated by any organization or any person, they are not cataloged. Okay. So that's one thing. If you all remember when Brian Geiswhite and Tosto went on to the York Dispatch, otherwise known as the York Dumpster, and pen lies to speak about this a couple of years ago, that it was easier for them and the media sources that they use to try to label us as extremists and book banners than for them to come out and speak the truth. Now, these books have been coming into the West Shore School District on the radar because there is something that Christy said on that video, which is very true. A lot of these titles, okay, like It's Perfectly Normal, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. When I first heard that title, I thought it was about a girl that was dying and, they were going to do something nice as friends for her, is what I thought. So a lot of these books come in under the guise, the title of it. Okay, then if a parent sees the kid reading the book, they're not thinking there's anything, wrong with it until you open and you read the filth that is in these books. And what enrages me more than anything else is that Tostos, the superintendent, Brian Geiswhite, the former president of the West Shore School District, okay, and his wife, Kelly Geiswhite, who was the head librarian at the time, knew that these books were in the library and kept gaslighting the community, kept smearing the names of, parents that were, speaking up against it, was lying, because the word is lying, to the media that this was not available in the West Shore School District. To a couple of meetings ago, maybe 2-3 meetings ago, Stokes said in the meeting, oh, we don't have the material here in the West Shore School District, and he knows and knew that is there. What they didn't expect was the parents to go in searching. Now, granted, for the last 2 years, I have been posting the library catalog, West Shore School District library catalog, online for everybody else, for everybody to see, for the parents to see that this garbage is in there. Some of these books that she presented, like Girl from the Sea or Girl by the Sea, Casey spoke about that book in the meeting, in one ear, out the other. Okay, so for them to sit there and lie to our faces, and lie to the media, and lie to the community, shows you that this was done intentionally. And for Brian Geiswhite to say, and I have the articles, okay, to say to the media that these books are not in the West Shore School District, that they did a search from top to bottom, and that those books were in there, he is the liar that I've been claiming for years that he is. And shame on you for those people out there that want to vote his grooming behind back into that seat. That's what I got to say at the moment.
Yes. You mentioned Earl and me, and we have some visuals here. Do we want to put those up?
Yes, this is available. This particular one is available in Cedar Cliff High School. Okay, and they may say, okay, it's high school level. It may be for high school students, but you have, freshmen, and this is a book that's so disgusting that it shouldn't be in our schools at all.
Let's go to the second visual.
And that is what she was reading. Okay, if you want me to read it, Jonathan, just
I don't think. I think we have it up on the camera. I know that there are some people that do listen to the show and don't watch it. I don't think we just had it on the video. Christy just in the video repeated it. I don't think we need to repeat it again. So we have the visual. Yeah, we have the visual up. And as I said when the video ended, this is the kind of shit that I dealt with when I was with Pennsylvania Predator Hunters. I used to read through chat logs that were
right, Jonathan. You're absolutely right, because I can tell you, and I know this for a fact firsthand, there are thousands, and I mean literally thousands, of people serving time in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections right now for downloading stuff like that on their computers. I mean, it is child pornography. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are not getting arrested for this, let alone this being continued to be allowed in the schools, is befuddling, to be quite honest with you.
100%.
And then to have people, it was actually Mr. Gay who said in a policy meeting, had the unmitigated gall and audacity to compare this to Shakespeare.
I know.
I've read Shakespeare, and nowhere in any Shakespeare writing will you find anything even close to that. There are no descriptions of secretions and orgasmic spasms, sexual organs, penetrations. None of that nonsense is found in any Shakespeare work.
No,
the most you find at all are very vague allusions to intimate activity, such as one of his books, he refers to the act of lovemaking as creating the beast with two backs, and that's where it ends. He just
if anybody has heard that metaphor before and didn't know where it came from, you've been educated from Shakespeare. You're quoting Shakespeare. Okay, so let's be clear that Shakespeare spoke as you just said, when he did speak about that, wrote in metaphors, not in descriptive. Okay,
and even his metaphors were extremely rare. And then the gaslighting is just beyond imaginable, because then it was either Penn Live or York Dispatch, one of those trash so-called news organizations, did an article shortly after that saying that there were book banners in the West Shore School District seeking to get rid of Shakespeare. Now, nothing could be further from the truth. We want to see more Shakespeare. We want to see more classical novels and writings that are enriching and enlightening and educational. We want more of that kind of stuff and less of this trash that we just saw unfold right here.
It's just heinous. It's heinous. Let me know, Mariana, or if you have, if you can access it, if you want to throw up any of the other visuals, or let me know when you want me to throw up any of the other ones. Denise, let's get you in on this.
Well, first,
we've heard disgusting and vile and heinous. Do you have any other descriptive words you'd like to use for this?
well, I mean, that definitely is all
Pretty much-
very, very fitting adjectives. It's just vulgar. It's just so dark to want to have this accessible
For kids.
to minors, that it's really hard to wrap your head around it, right? Like they make it seem so normal, and that, of course, that's the goal, right? But as I was telling the ladies earlier, I had read into, and I was looking for it before the podcast. That's why I got a little behind, because I got sucked in the legis part of surrounding child trafficking, just to see what was in the statute as far as ages go. And a recent child trafficking or human trafficking bust happened, and they had a link within there. I can't recall the link because it's been about a month or so, but there's been several sting operations in Cumberland County, York County. So I've been kind of just cataloging them after I'm reading them. But one had a link that took you to, legislation, and it said there's some language there that could apply definitely to this, because, well, first of all, the age requirement says 18 and under are considered minors as far as the child sex trafficking statute goes in Pennsylvania. So right there would tell you that pornography and incest and bestiality, they're all kind of tentacles and directions they're going with in these books, and now they want to bring in more. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mariana or Casey, or maybe Jonathan, you might know, but when books are donated, they don't have to disclose who donated them, and
That's what
they
Mariana
don't have
was
to be
saying.
logged publicly in the school catalog. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what Mariana was saying. Yeah,
If
Mariana
the
was saying
book
that
is
at the beginning
donated,
of
right? If it's donated, they don't have to disclose who donated. There's no data as to who donated and when. Okay, and it's not on the online catalog. So, like what happened with us, and you remember that, Denise? We found
Yes,
those books, and what did they say? Oh, it's not on the online catalog. Brian Geiswhite said to the media that it was not on the online catalog because they catalog all the books. But what he failed to say was that donated books are not cataloged. And apparently these two books that I was speaking about and made reference to were donated. Okay, and so and then, I asked for a list of donated books. I did a right to know. And they told me that they don't keep, I have the right to know somewhere, that they do not keep a list of donated books.
Which is also weird. I wanted to let this
I don't
comment
mean to laugh.
No, hold on one second. I wanted to let this commenter know that we are going to get to what has been done and what is being done to remove the books, but that's going to be just a little bit later. We have a few other books that we're going to discuss before we get there. But I just wanted to let the viewers know
one of
that
my people. That's my sister in Christ, Jill. She's a fighter from Indiana, and I was trying to get into the chat so I could talk with them, or just anyone really.
Unfortunately,
it won't let me.
My guest, I don't have it for many reasons, not for you, Denise, but for many reasons, I don't have guests being able to access the chat or being able to comment while they're in the studio. So you can't.
Oh, well, that's why it kept kicking me out then. I was just trying to say hello to them.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. It's okay. For many reasons, I don't have that because I don't want, you get into a situation where people will start maybe having people comment and then they're riling them up, so it gives me more control over the show.
It's just hard to have dialogue when that's not open, and that's
Well,
just my opinion. But it's your show. I respect that. I really do.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm the host. That's why I brought the comment up. I wanted to let them know we are going to address their question. And there we go. See, this is my job, Denise. I'll bring the comments up, and then you can talk to them directly.
Okay.
So
Thank
you, Jill. Thank you, Jill, for tuning in, and thank you for your comments. Comments are always welcomed. And real quick, if I can say to every single person who's watching right now, because I can see there's a couple of people, take a moment right now. Go hit that reaction button, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button, whatever platform you're on, hit it. And then hit the share button right after that and share it out so that we can try and get more people. It helps with our reach. And then if you haven't, hit the follow or subscribe button. And that way you'll be notified anytime we release new episodes or new content.
I wanted to comment on too, because we've mentioned quite a few times, and Mariana has, and she's absolutely right about the books that are donated or that are not cataloged. But I don't want to get too sidetracked with that, because there's enough that is cataloged that we can focus on that is provably there. It's one thing to talk about books that we know are there because we've seen them, we found them, that there's no official paper trail that they exist. But everything Christy was reading in that meeting are actual cataloged books in the libraries, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there are entire sections of nothing but that kind of filth, whenever the issue was brought up, the people who support support this grooming, which is what it is, it's pedophilic grooming. The people who support this will do everything they can to obscure the issue and try to turn it into something it's not. Talking about, book banning, where nobody's trying to ban books. We're just trying to use wise taxpayer money for appropriate materials. And they never want to really answer the questions. What is the innocent, benevolent purpose for having this kind of material in the library? What is the benign, innocent reason for this kind of material, as opposed to more classic writings or even more newer writings that are truly educational, truly enlightening, truly enriching, that will challenge the mind and inspire somebody to better themselves. That's where what we need to keep focusing on. What we do actually know is there, like Christy showed, and believe me, there's 1,000 times more where that came from. And then get back to the issue and challenge these people. I want to see one of them. And if any of you are out there listening, I want to hear the benign, innocent explanation for why these are the books that are necessary to be in there at taxpayer expense versus something like Shakespeare. So.
No one will ever be able to answer that, Casey. Let me just save you the time and anybody the trouble. No one will ever be able to actually justify or explain that in a reasonable manner, because it can't be explained in a reasonable manner. You're like saying, it's like saying, Casey, you want me to lift the coffee mug over on the counter with my mind. It just can't happen. It's impossible. Thank you for tuning in, Benjamin Loken. All of you people who are watching, take a moment and hit that reaction button. Some of you may have done it on YouTube, and sometimes it doesn't update on my thing, but please take a moment, hit that like button. I'm going to keep saying it the entire episode. So just, if you don't like it, that's too bad. So I had the visual up. Let me bring that up again. It was the other one you were talking about. The girl from the sea, right, Mariana? That's the other one you had just said something about.
Correct. Now, I read this book myself about a year ago, and on our parental page, I put pictures of different chapters of the book. Basically, the book starts with this girl that's confused, and she decides she's going to commit suicide. She jumps in the water, and this, I think it's called a selfie, which is like a female mermaid kind of a deal, okay, saves her and falls in love with her. Now, through all this, the girl, through the whole book, in the very beginning of the book, the girl's trying to stay away from this mermaid because this mermaid is forcing herself upon the girl, okay, forcing her, amorous and romantic feelings among the girl. And finally, at the conclusion of the book, convinces the girl that she's a lesbian, okay, and that she needs to embrace her lesbianism. Within the book, you also find the girl's brother, who's a furry. Towards the end of the book, there's some sort of
does anybody want to answer
insinuation of pedophilia? That pedophilia is also normal.
Does anybody want to answer what a furry is, or should we just tell our viewers to go check it out for themselves? Give it a Google search. Maybe we should just let them take
Most
it.
people by this time, as crazy as everything is familiar with it, unless they're just social media hermits.
Yeah. Yes,
But
but I
yeah,
mean, let's get down to it.
people identify as an animal, of course, just like the so-called transgenders identify as something other than what they are actually born. But
Yeah, it's pretend.
that takes it just to the next level.
Now,
Yes,
the thing about these books also, Jonathan, is this. If you look up these titles, like in Amazon and whatever, you would see that these books have won awards and they're acclaimed, like this one, The Girl by the Sea. Okay, there are a lot of people applauding this book. Okay, and I hate saying it, a lot of liberal Christians also applauding this book, and the book is disgusting.
You can't be a Christian. That's what I'm saying. Listen. People, there's a lot of people, Mariana, and I know all three of you know this, that there are plenty of people who will claim to be a Christian who are in fact not Christian because they can't be. You can't be a Christian. I've talked about this with Pastor Gavin, and really you can't. You can believe in you can't. You just can't. You can't believe in Jesus and God and support this.
Yeah, that's the logical equivalent of saying I'm an Orthodox Jewish rabbi who's a neo-Nazi. It doesn't.
That's exactly. Yeah. What? yeah. No, that just doesn't. It just doesn't work. So, Mariana, what other book, or Denise, unless you want to jump in here, what other visual? What visual you want to put up next?
Go ahead, Mariana. I was looking through the legislation section in the Constitution here to see about how things are supposed to be useful instruction in the schools. I'm looking for the provision.
All right, then yes, excellent. We'll
so
come
while
back
you're doing that, this is another one that I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to click the link that Christy made reference to, and this book is Perfectly Normal. Now, this book is found in the middle school, in Crossroads Middle School, and it talks about puberty. As you can see, it's showing people's genitalia on the upper left. And when you look towards the bottom and the center, it's showing the kids how to have sex. Okay, woman on woman, man on man, man and woman. And this is for middle kids, okay? And then towards the right, it talks about how it's perfectly normal to masturbate and how to masturbate. Yeah. And this is for the middle schoolers, okay? So this is another book that is when we went through this book, and I think it was Christy's husband, if I'm correct, that found this book and brought it to our attention. We looked at it. It's in our catalog, okay? And this is something being peddled in our schools also. We have this other book that I read, and I swear I had to use Clorox on my eyes, okay? Which is All Boys Are Blue, okay? So here he gets
Mariana, can I interrupt for just 1 second? I also want to let all of our viewers know that this particular book, All Boys Aren't Blue, was just spoke. I don't know exactly when it was, but it was recently, was just talked about in Congress.
Yes.
Okay. Congressman Kennedy was talking about it and questioning people that were there about it. So I just want to point out that this particular book, like probably many of these books, but this particular one I have literally seen being discussed on the national stage in the House of Representatives. So just so everybody knows that. And
now
go ahead,
there's two things with this book. Number one, it gives a graphic description of sexual acts. He says, I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. Now, that's one thing. The sexual, imagery in this book is disgusting. But it also talks about racism. Okay. Another passage explores systematic oppression, with Johnson, the author, stating symbolism gives folks hope. But I come to learn that symbolism is a threat to actual change. It's a chance for those in power to say, look how far you have come, rather than admitting, look how long we have stopped you from getting here. Okay, so it's giving two messages. You got racism, you got oppression, and you got all this disgusting sexuality in this one book. And this is one of these books, folks, that if you read it, trust me, you're going to want to rinse your eyes out with Clorox. It is disgusting. Now, this is the newest book this year in the Cedar Cliff Library. It's called The Black Flamingo. Now, this is about a boy trying to find himself, okay, and he realizes that he will make a great drag queen, okay, and he states how he goes into this world of lust and sex, and also it talks about him using drugs, tells them how to use the drugs, and also again sexual acts. Okay, here we go. Dancing with Kieran is better than a dream. He puts his hands on my waist and pulls me towards him. He bends both his legs to bring his groin in line with mine, and we sway side to side, finding a mutual rhythm. His hands leave my waist and then is stroking the side of my face. I lean my head into his hand. I once saw him knock someone out with this hand. He lifts my chin and he leans in and kisses me. And now what I'm showing you here is actually the lighter side of, because these books get heavy. And the book, The Black Flamingo, is written like an essays, okay, but it's as disgusting. So this is just a few. We decided to get like 6 of these books, which is what Christy presented, okay, to speak about it, because how many times, Denise, how many times haven't we heard that taco eating, fire breathing dragon say that these things are not in the West Shore School District? And for those who are watching, the taco eating, fire breathing dragon is the superintendent, Tastos, that is enabling the West Shore School District administrator and administration is enabling grooming of our children. So like I've said it many times before, they do not know that 1 and 1 is 2, but apparently they know how to use lube. That's what they're learning in the schools, how to use lube. Okay, so it's really a disgusting situation. It really is. So
they're straight lying to our faces, and we're just supposed to accept that or not get upset or want to protect, our children, our posterity. It's repugnant to the Constitution. It's obviously against divine law. And we shouldn't even be having this discussion, but here we are. And it is the fact that we are just straight lied to on public record. It really wouldn't take much to 2 witnesses is all it takes, and we can handle business.
You got him right here. So, you got him right here. You need 2
we're
witnesses.
all witnesses present, and so we can discuss that off air or on another show potentially, but yeah, that's all it would take.
Yes, exactly. And Monica, you're right. Monica, you're right. This is child abuse. I don't know how it's not
crimes
against children. Yeah, I don't know how it's not crimes against children. And for her name's Jill, right? Your friend?
Huh?
Denise, your friend is Jill?
Yes, Jill, Monica, and I think I heard you mention Benji. Yeah.
I just want to make sure this page, because it's not a name, it's like an actual page. But she gave her name earlier. I just wanted to make sure it was Jill. Yeah. I think you're right. That's one of the things that we're actually going to talk about when we discuss what can be done, is about forming a committee or something that can happen, because as you said, all books should be vetted before put into a children's library, donated or purchased. That should not matter at all.
No, and they cannot. It's not constitutionally, like, we're safeguarded. The people are by things that are like a public danger, create unsafe conditions, these books, and a lot of chaos and confusion. And that's, of course, what they're hoping for, right? So they can come in with all the mental health help, and the out-of-state adoption agencies that, again, that might be for another show, but it's connected to Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Kentucky that are advertising around town. And I have pictures and videos of that. But anyway, when I lost track of I'm into the maxims here, but I wanted to say it's against divine law. So when something is repugnant to the constitutions or the Bible, it's null and void on its face. It's not enforceable.
Exactly.
And because a nonprofit or whoever the donations are coming from, that does not give them a pass to put children in danger when the Constitution says we have an inherent right to be happy, safe, and protected, and we're our children and grandchildren's and etc. voices. So we have to advocate these rights for them, because if we don't, I mean, they don't know them. They're not taught them. We weren't taught them. But if we don't, they're just going to continue to take and take and take, and we will, we don't want to allow that to continue. So we have to step in constitutionally now to get things back in order and get this garbage out. Period. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yes, absolutely. So now we talked about the books. Now, what do we do, or what are we going to do? Because I'm here, at this point, I consider myself in this fight. You guys, as I've said before, you guys called me in. Even if you didn't want my help anymore, you wouldn't be able to call me off anyway. So what is it that can be done about this? What can be done? What can the parents do? Can we demand a change in policy? Go ahead, Kate.
Some of the comments I've seen popping up on here. There needs to be some kind of committee formed of a lot of concerned parents who are like-minded, who want to, clean up the library system and replace this garbage with good materials. But it's going to take a concerted effort, and we need more people to get involved. It's sometimes frustrating. You talk to so many people. I know I have. Will say, I agree with you. You get them. You go do a good job. But we need more people involved, not just sideline cheerleaders. Because, we're up against a machine here. We talked about this before. They've got the entire media apparatus on their side. The perverts and the groomers got all of the wealth and power, all of the avenues of communication, working for them. The only thing we have is this tiny little podcast. So
thank you very much.
This is it.
I appreciate
the people don't want to get involved. I'm not sure why, or I really don't know.
They're scared.
The government is a hoax. We are the bosses.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But I want to encourage everyone who's leaving comments. If you're in the district, please share these podcasts with everybody. These videos with everybody. Go around and talk to everybody recruit people to get involved. And if you don't live in the district, people are just have a domino effect. So we can get more people involved, because we need to get the truth out there. And that's the biggest problem right now, is the lack of information and bad information that's out there due to the media and that are the willing co-conspirators and collaborators with the people promoting this stuff. Take, for example, and I don't want to get too off on a rabbit trail here. Take example of the last school board primary elections. Sandra Gonzalez was sabotaged in the primary by a so-called conservative Republican who's been nothing but a traitor. I'll put her name out there, Linda Myers-Dreher. She and another, slimeball were at the polls telling everybody that Sandra Gonzalez was lying about there being pornography in the public school library, that they're not there, that she's just fear-mongering. They were telling this to Republican primary voters, that she's just a troublemaker. She's just making all this stuff we just showed. Oh, no, none of that's there. She's making it all up. So she actually, they slandered her, who are supposedly the people working for her, to get people to vote for Brian Geistwhite in the Republican primary.
Groomer.
Yeah. So that's how they sabotaged her in that primary, willingly. So that's what we're up against. We're up against not just the enemy we can see, but the enemy within us, amongst us as well. And because there isn't enough exposure of this stuff, and hopefully it's a good starting point here, they're able to get away with these lies. They also lied about Sandra claiming, because she's also right about this, about the unisex and transgender bathrooms they have at Redland, or at least they had. They might have taken them away now. She closed it. But she had the pictures to prove, how they
Yeah.
would change the signs in the bathrooms when there would be sporting events and the parents would come here, and then change it back to the transgender nonsense whenever it was only the school day and the kids were there. But
Yeah.
but again, the people who were supposedly working for her campaign sabotaged her at the polls, told everybody that she made that up and was lying about it. Vote for Brian Geiswade. He's a true professional, blah, blah, blah. So that's the kind of stuff we're up against. We need to get the truth out there. So we need more people, all hands on deck, because, we're up against the machine here.
The thing is, then what do the district want us to do? Okay, so the district and their policy, okay, they want us to, the parents, to write a book report about what we just read, present it to the board, and challenge the book so they can remove the book. I got a better idea. Screw challenging the book. Okay, let's challenge the employment of that administrator, the administration, and let's vote Brian Geiswhite out, because while he and his wife, because his wife was the head librarian, allowed this under our nose to come into the school, she gets rewarded with the position of an assistant principal. So why not challenge the employment of the dragon and his buddy, okay, Brian Geiswhite, and for that fact, for his wife, who is an assistant principal, Kelly Geiswhite. That's what we need to do. We need to change administration around.
Yeah.
We need to clean out administration, but it takes all of us.
It
takes all of us fighting it.
And the school board.
Policy is not law. And they're thinking, they sit there like they're governors. Okay. No, they are our servant. We elected them. We elect them out. Okay. But they sit there like governors thinking that their little policies is law. Policy is policy. Every corporation has a policy, but it's not law.
The problem with the policy, too, the way it stands, is because you have to challenge a book, everyone individually, to then make the case why it should be taken out. At that rate, they can bring in 100 more smut books for every one you're able to get out. That's a futile task. The policies do need to change. I would like to see a committee of concerned parents who have these goals in mind for the betterment of the kids to go through these books to find out who the publishers are, and then find out who the publishers are that produce more constructive materials, and then have specific policies passed. These publishers, the ones that are the sex groomers and the predators and the pedophiles, they're not just nothing from those publishers should be allowed, but then have a list of publishers where you will accept it, and those are the ones that have a proven track record of producing more educational and more inspirational material. But that would be a better way to go about it.
Yeah, and the problem with this, Jill, is that even the local newspapers don't give this any coverage. That's how I got here. I'm here because I started talking to Mariana when I saw she was running for school board, and she saw I had a podcast, and we kind of was like, hey, let's do this. So, because it wasn't getting any media coverage. So the only reason, that's how I ended up here, was because none of the local media is covering anything about the West Shore School District. Go search the archives.
They're actually lying. They actually
go search the archives. Yeah, go search the archives. You're going to find the articles you do find are going to have not correct information, and they're going to be far and few between. So even the newspapers are not doing their job. Yeah, even the newspapers are not doing their job. That's how we ended up. How I ended up here in the first place, and recruiting Mariana and Casey to the team, and Christy, who's still watching. Denise hasn't joined the team yet, but she might eventually. So that's how I ended up
new equipment and stuff. But I mean, I wanted the Indiana. I was hoping the Indiana people would show up because I know Jill has been fighting in the schools and Sandy for a few years now. Prior, more so, like we'll say 2024 and before. And they went up against the time limit, the speaking time limit, and got the masks off the kids on the buses. So they've had successes with, giving notice and affidavits. And I've been trying to get them on, when I was offering Zooms last year, and they would come on to give their testimony to you guys to show, and not just from there, but one is a teacher who's very passionate, and she's going head up with her employer, risking it all, because of certain agencies involved with our children that unfortunately are not on the up and up, and we can just leave it at that without going into too much, because I know we're trying to stay somewhat on topic, but they would have a lot of value to add, and I can't see what they're saying or reply back, so I don't know what's going on there, but it's okay. Maybe we can work on that in another way, but it would be nice to have the good dialogue. I think you guys would get uh, a broader view of how this works, in other states, how it's worked, and hear their testimonies. So,
That would be great. And if you haven't seen another thing, Jonathan, if you haven't seen the last board meeting, and I encourage you, Denise, to see it also. After Christy speaks, Heather Keller, Denise, the boy-headed one, she comes up and she talks right afterwards. And her comment was this. Brace yourself, Effie. Her comment was that we need to make sure that these parents that are speaking about these books, that if they want to opt out their children from reading these books, they can do that, but they cannot opt out all the children from these books. So in other words, you can't groom us, you can't groom these kids, but you can groom the others.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
And it's sick because these people come to these meetings. It's sick. And then, it's funny. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this guy, this little boy here. He's in the middle with the flower in his head, and he's also the one in the bottom, okay, in the bottom middle. That is, what is his name? He's the amazing.
Desmond is amazing.
Desmond is amazing, okay? And he is one of the kids that they use as an example of how glorious it is to be, transgender and part of the drag queen, society. And I'm sure there are books talking about him in the West Shore. I have to find it. But yes, all this time, the West Shore administration has been grooming our children. And this is becoming a norm. And exactly, this is mental health. I mean, as a Christian, I would say this is demonic possession. But this is what's happening in the West Shore School District. All this time, they've been grooming our children. And it took COVID to bring this forth. Okay, it took COVID and us hearing what these teachers were teaching our children to bring this forth. Okay, and the sad thing is, like, the people that you see here, we have conservative Republicans trying to vote Brian Geiswhite, back in. So they throw Sandra Gonzalez under the bus. She only lost by 100, I think it was 100 votes. But they throw her under the bus. They were literally taking her literature, snatching it out of people's hands. They were literally taking people, the GOP was taking people under this little kiosk to speak to them, to say not to vote for Sandra because what she was saying was a lie. But here we go. We just proved that what she's saying is true. There is a grooming going on in the West Shore School District. And parents, we have to join together and we have to find some sort of remedy to this. And I suggest that if you're hearing me and Denise Dugan like I do, reach out to her.
I don't know.
We need to come together and put heat on the legislature because they can create subcommittees, they can do investigations, and they are directly responsible for the local government. So that is where we need to go because that's, their higher authority, the local government. So that is whether we, because when I mentioned that to Dr. Stoltz last year, and I still have the recording of it.
I remember.
He's like, oh, well, you can try with the local legislature. Like, basically, they're in our pocket, too. So I was like, oh, yeah, well, you're all trustees and public servants accountable to us at all times. So we'll see, won't we? And he didn't say anything.
Governor and a different legislature for that.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said we would need a different governor and a different legislature for that. Right now, Pennsylvania is a lost cause.
We just need to get rid of it and go by the common law, the constitutions, because it's so simple. It's just basically, the commandments with some added, things to make business run smooth in our states. We're not, it doesn't need to be all this excessive law, as Gorsuch has come openly telling and overruled in his book. And if you guys have listened to the Reagan Library interview and the Nixon Library interview and George Bush, I think the dad's live conference center, he did a couple interviews. He's telling it all, how legislatures are adding 2 to 3 million words a year to law. 2 to 3 million words a year. It's so excessive regulation. And uh, he said that basically any given day, someone is committing a felony and they don't even know it, because there's so many regulations and administrative codes and laws that they put on the books since he was a federal judge. Before he went to the Supreme Court, he was there, I think, for 11 years in the district court. But it's crazy. They went to research it in the 80s, and the girl went at it for, I think, maybe 2 years. I could be wrong, but she gave up because it was never ending. No one even knows how many federal codes there are, and that's Gorsuch's word, Justice Gorsuch's words, not mine. So it's just so over excessive. We don't need more legislation. We need less. We need to get rid of all the bad that comes against us, and then we can implement good or enhance the good that is there. Just beef it up, make it more solid, and it needs to be in pursuance with the Constitution. So that's to protect us and govern them. We're not the governed, they are. So
Yes, and then I'm sorry, the other thing the school district is doing, the board, and they need to start working, I think, a little bit more together, the majority, is they're coming up with a policy, a library resource material policy, in which they want to put guidelines as to what kind of book is allowed in the library. Okay, what kind of topics are allowed. If it's something like, let's say, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, it shouldn't even be, which is fine. But the problem is this: if you remember, Jonathan, in one of the meetings, who did they make responsible to determine what material comes into the West Shore School District Library? You remember?
The superintendent.
The taco eating dragon, correct? And whoever parent he chooses to help, which is going to be one of the libtards of the West Shore. The librarians, not all librarians are bad, but I'm sure he's going to choose his favorite libtard librarian and maybe a student. Okay, so in putting this task in his hand, it is a mistake. We did jot forms requesting that we did not want him assigned, and if they were going to put him, then we wanted links to see what material they're looking to put in, and that went in one ear and out the other. Okay, because and for the parents to be able to review for like 30 days, okay, what material the taco eating dragon was going to try to bring into our schools. Okay, and that was denied. So, okay, the policy is great, but if you have somebody, okay, that is doing it, that is already enabling grooming and has enabled grooming in our school through these materials, who's watching him is what I want to know. Because the decision to make him the person to be able to approve the material was a brain fart. A brain fart, like, what is it, a 10 on the Richter scale when they have an earthquake? Yeah. That big of a brain fart.
If he serves at the discretion of the board, and the board has authority over the superintendent, they can take that away just as easily. They're just not using their authority properly, and that they're not using their backbone properly.
They're not using the authority.
If they would, the people can support them if they would and back them up, and the law is on their side. But again, that falls on deaf ears as well. So they're not following the will of the people and our authority, which is Article 1, Section 2. So we have some problems that we need to correct, and they need to humble themselves and listen and realize just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean that you know it all. We're never too old to learn something, especially that can benefit and protect. I know many of them have grandchildren, I know some don't mind it if they're groomed, but some do. So do you want to protect them or don't you? What about the 7,000 other kids in the district? Don't they matter that you swore to protect? Think you better, pray and look inside yourself about that if you're listening.
Correct.
Every,
That is correct.
yeah, everything you guys have said. I love episodes where I barely have to speak. Those are my favorite ones because it means I have people on who know what they're talking about. So, which is, shows that I'm actually smart. Thank you, Jacqueline, for tuning in. Please go back and watch from the beginning. That's always
Jackie's the
appreciated.
teacher. We got to have her on again.
Yes.
gotta have her on.
Anybody who's talking, anybody who's commenting, if you would like to come on an episode, please leave us a comment, send us a message. I'd be happy to. We're always looking to network and have other people on episodes. So thank you, everybody. Definitely a special thank you to Denise, because apparently our views are very high tonight because a lot of these people are here because of you, Denise. So thank you for spreading the word. And I'm sure some of them are here for you, also Mariana. So thank you guys for always telling people that, we're going to go live and do these episodes. Please take a moment, hit that like button right now or whatever reaction button on whatever platform you're watching, and then hit the subscribe button right after that. So that way you can be notified. And if you have an extra moment, then please share out this episode because it helps with the, even if you're not living in the school district, it doesn't matter. If you share it out, it will help the analytics and help us continue to reach more people. So,
And
For
Indiana
sure,
is
because many
seeing
of
very
these
much
books
similar of what
are
we're
all over the
seeing.
place.
I'm sorry, Denise and Casey, we're both talking at the same time.
Sorry,
Go ahead,
Casey.
Denise.
Okay, let's
ahead.
try that again.
Thanks,
Denise?
sir. I was just getting ready to say that Indiana is seeing a lot of the same of what we're seeing here. And, they have a small group assembled. I don't think there's a ton of them, but they're making big waves with just a handful of them. And, I've told you guys that. So we don't need everybody, but we do need more people than just, one or
Yeah,
two, three.
What we're seeing in our
So go
district
ahead.
is what's going on in the nationwide. This is what's going on in literally thousands of school districts all over the nation. It's a concerted effort from the top down. It's not from the bottom up. It's
For
effort,
sure.
not grassroots. So yeah, the exact same books, exact same publishers, exact same agenda, everything we're being plagued with here in the West Shore is what's happening and has been happening for a long time nationwide. So it's the exact same issues we're dealing with. So by all means, and most people in the country, in their own public school district, unfortunately, would be dealing with almost the exact same issues in their home school districts that we're dealing with here. So by all means, they need to, yes, share it and look into what's going on in their school districts as well.
And if I can follow up on that real quick, because I know Denise wants to say something again too. If you are, I don't care what state you're in, it doesn't have to be Pennsylvania. If you need help covering what's going on because you're not getting any media coverage in your local area, reach out to us. Reach out at the Boiling Point Podcast. We can help you we can help you live stream the school board meetings. We can do episodes to talk about what's happening. So if you need help in that regard, that's one thing that we've been doing. We've been doing it local here in Pennsylvania, but it doesn't have to be. So if you need help or need assistance, reach out to us. I'd love to have you on an episode or, expand into your neighborhood as well if needed. Denise, did you have something?
Well, yeah, to segue from that, I think it would be really good to do that because, as Casey said, this is a concerted effort. So, because we aren't really assembled real well here or maybe elsewhere, there are some states that have, decent groups together. But I think these ladies and gentlemen will be able to help us help everyone here and whoever's listening in no matter what state to go through the legislative manual of procedure to show how they can start a subcommittee. And if we don't start assembling together to learn this knowledge, then we won't know how to get remedy to, get rid of all this stuff that we don't want. We want solid academics again. We want, good, wholesome learning that is useful and not filth. And, when you're graduating, if you can't read and give the right change, there's a problem. There's several, but, that's putting it mildly, I know. But getting together, assembling is the hurdle. Half
Oh
the
yeah,
hurdle, it seems right now. So we really have to make a concerted effort to come together, just like they're making a concerted effort to take over our states, our schools, our, every house we the people are supposed to be regulating. Uh, it's out of control. So we have to go in and reel things in, and strength is in numbers. So we don't need to be in fear. We're not doing anything unlawful by using the highest law to instruct our representatives. Hey, you swore to uphold this law. It's the highest law. If you don't, well, that's a breach of trust and that's a felony. So that's just for starters. We could go further because we have a lot of receipts and people forget that. So, meaning
yeah,
receipts as in public record, notice is already served, long chain of abuse is already established. So, uh, they should walk slow and take heed.
absolutely, absolutely. I want to address another comment that was left earlier. I think it was by Jill. Thank you for this comment. We've definitely been making an impact. The Boiling Point podcast has definitely been influencing the conversation here in Central Pennsylvania and the West Shore School District for sure. We have an entire fan club that mentions us in regular meetings, right, Mariana? I mean, they
Yes, we
mention us
do.
pretty regularly in school board meetings at this point. And of course, I know that they're watching also. So let me give a big shout out to our favorite fan club. You know who you are. Some of you have very short hair, and some of you dress like you are the wrong sex. But we appreciate your views. It doesn't matter. Fan club strong.
A lot of fluorescent colors.
Yeah, we don't have hate in our hearts. Just like popular.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I love that people are watching the show and then referencing it in school board meetings. I don't care if they're on my side; they still have to watch to get the information. So,
No,
honestly,
I do want to say something before we head out, and it's basically about the upcoming election. This upcoming election, local election, is crucial that we get the right people in. For those of you who are supporting Brian Geiswhite, shame on you. You got blood on your hands. And you will stand before God, whether you believe in him or not. And you're going to have to give an account for all your words and actions. Same with those who supporting Terry Mickle. That's another groomer. Okay. You will have blood on your hands and you will have to give an account to God. It is time. And I'm speaking to the Christian community now. It is time that you guys get up from your tough because you're too comfortable. Okay. And understand that what's happening locally and nationwide is affecting all of us. Just because your child is in a Christian school, and that's a great thing, or in a home school or in a cyber school, and that's a great thing, because I do not encourage anybody to keep the kids at this point in the public education system. It does not mean that you don't pay taxes, because your taxpayer money, the money that you're paying in taxes, is helping the groomers groom the children that are not in these schools and cannot afford these schools, or parents that cannot afford to stay home and homeschool. So we have a battle that God has called you to join. Okay, God have asked you to, like they say, here I am, Lord, to join this battle, join forces, pick up whatever talent you have, okay, and use it for his glory. It is a battle, and we need everybody involved, whether your child is in the school, in the district, or they're in a private school, because it's still your tax dollars. So this year, unfortunately, Sandra was cheated. She was cheated from the election. She was.
we're going to have an episode.
They decided to go with the groomer. They decided to go with the groomer, so we're stuck with this groomer. We're stuck with this liar. Okay,
because of also cost down, which we'll also talk about.
We cannot afford to have Kelly lose her seat, because once they take control it's going to be a greater battle, and you can say we're as good as done. Now, I do support Denise and what she's saying about the Constitution. Okay, there is one the things that I have learned already from Denise. There is constitutional remedies that we have to come together and get it done, people. Get it done. Time is short. We got to just get it done. Put the excuses away. Okay, put the excuses to the side because everybody's griping, but nobody's getting up to do anything. It's time to get up, get out, and get it done. Because you know what? The left is great in organizing. We all know that. Now it's time for us to use the power that be, okay, the powers that are in our hand, our Constitution, okay, and the power of God, first and foremost, to do and make the change that we are called to do.
Yeah, I would just to reiterate there with Kelly Brett, she's the only seat we could possibly win at this point. And if she loses, then the groomers, I mean, the literal groomers and Marxists have full-blown control of the school board. Because unfortunately, we forfeited both seats in Region 1. Nobody even ran against the two groomers. And then out in Region 3, as Mariana said, Sandra Gonzalez was sabotaged by somebody supposedly on our side, which was Linda Myers-Dreher. We were skeptical of that from the beginning. I don't know what I'm not going to mention his name, but one of Sandra's supporters was thinking when he wanted her to be at the polls. That was the stupidest decision you could ever make. Linda Myers-Dreher is a snake. She is a Democrat that's just there to sabotage. Make no mistake. She's working for the enemy behind within our midst. Her and her cronies who sabotaged Sandra Gonzalez. But because of that, we now only have one seat we could possibly win because the other ones don't even have any challengers. And if we lose that seat, then everything we're talking about tonight will only exponentially increase over the next 2 years.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things, since everybody got some final words in there, there's a couple of things that I want to handle real quick. First, let's do these comments. Do you guys, either this person, Jill, was asking, do you know how many notices the school board has been served?
5.
5. Okay, very good. That's the answer to that, Jill. Thank you very much for your comment. And when you leave these comments, I'm always going to get to them. You just sometimes have to give us a break, give us a chance to address them. Thank you, Matt, for tuning in. Even if it's late, please go back and watch from the beginning. And if you would like to talk to us, we would love to hear some information or exchange information. Reach out to the page. Mariana, I don't have Mariana's information to contact her yet, but I will put that in the description of this video also. But you can always reach out to the page. And my email address is, I believe, in the description of this video. If not, anybody can email me, jdboilingpoint@gmail.com. And you can email me. I'd be happy to talk to anybody and exchange information. That's
right. Mine is voicefortheparents@gmail.com. Voicefortheparents@gmail.com. Or you can contact Denise. She knows how to get me.
And we're going to get Mariana her own Boiling Point podcast email at some point. Yes, you're right. As the church, it's definitely up to us. Amen, Mariana. And Benjamin, I don't know if that people aren't aware. I think it has more to do with courage, actually. I believe is what it has to do with. Not necessarily that people know or don't know. Actually, it's probably a little bit of both. People know or don't know, and then also courage. It does take time, effort to actually change. I've been with you guys. How long have I been covering this with you guys now? Almost 2 years, right? This fall will be 2 years, and it seems like sometimes we don't get anywhere. So we're,
iron sharpens iron.
It does take time to do it. Yes, absolutely, Matt. I will add the description, email addresses into the description of this video, and you can always reach out to the page on Facebook. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, and you can reach out to us. You should be able to send us a message on any of those platforms as well. So feel free to do that. But I will absolutely add the email addresses once we finish this episode. And so let me just close out. I just want to say a couple last things here before we get to close out. Now, first of all, thank you, Denise, Mariana, and every single person who has tuned in. You have officially broken the record. At one point in time, we were at 13 live viewers. That is the highest amount of live viewers during an episode. So thank you for that. We reached the number 13 at one point. So yes, that is the highest number of viewers that we've had. And we've been at 10 now for the last 40 minutes, and we've been above 8 for the last hour. So thank you for everybody who's tuned in and stuck with us for this long, because it's a really long episode. And of course, Mariana here. Mariana did already. She's already put it in comments. That was you, right, Mariana?
Yes.
Yeah. I will add my email in there as well. But she's added hers. Thank you for all the compliments, and thank you for everybody who's commented. This is definitely going to get some traction. I definitely appreciate everybody who's tuned in here for me. I'm going to talk about the show now. Mariana and Denise have talked about what we talked about. I appreciate everybody tuning in. It really helps the show.
Everyone for coming.
Yeah, the show. Then this show was never started. I started doing national coverage and stuff. I switched to local because I met all these people and they needed help, and local media wasn't doing anything. So since doing that, we've definitely been growing. We've definitely been influencing the conversation. So I definitely appreciate everybody who tunes in and watches and hits that like button. Take another moment. Hit that reaction button if you haven't. Hit the share button if you haven't. And then please go check out our storefronts. Yep, I'm a salesman, always. Check out the storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. We have a lot of great apparel. I am not wearing one. I'm wearing the sister show. And let me give that a little shout out, Mayhem Media, for whenever you're tired with all the politics and all the real world stuff. We all get fatigued. We all need to recharge. When you want to go somewhere and be just entertained for a little while, go check out Mayhem Media, because we leave all this stuff at the door, and that is a place for you to go just to be entertained. Mariana's wearing her Watchdog Report t-shirt. It's definitely a popular one. Pick one up right now. Don't wait. You never know when I'm going to take this, change a design, or take one off the storefront and change it up. So don't wait. Pick it up right now. We have a lot of great designs out there. So pick one up. And I strongly recommend the American Cross. That's one of my favorite designs on the storefront that we have. So pick that up. Again, my email address, jdboilingpoint@gmail.com. Mariana's is voicefortheparents@gmail.com. And we're available on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. For Mariana and Casey, thank you guys for taking the time. And Denise, thank you for taking the time and for bringing all of these lovely viewers with you, and for, having the information on the Constitution and all that. So that way, we get all the facts that we need here, and that's what we try and do. Until next time, absolutely. Until next time, it has been a hot day here in Pennsylvania, and I have lost 10 pounds just in sweat over the last 4 hours of shooting podcast episodes. Until next time, I am your host, JD, and that's the end.